I was sitting in my cramped studio apartment in Logan Square, Chicago, nursing my third cup of coffee and staring at a half-finished painting when my phone buzzed. It was just another Tuesday morning in September, the kind where the autumn chill was starting to creep through the thin walls of my building. I'd been working on this abstract piece for weeks, trying to capture the feeling of isolation in a crowded city, but nothing seemed to be coming together right. The notification was from Instagram. My cousin Jessica had posted something new. I almost ignored it. Jessica's feed was usually just gym selfies and overpriced brunch photos, but something made me tap on it. Maybe it was procrastination, or maybe it was that sixth sense you get when something's about to turn your world upside down. The photo loaded slowly on my ancient phone, and when it finally appeared, I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. There they were, my entire family, gathered around a massive dining table on what looked like a gorgeous beachfront terrace. The caption read, "Hamptons weekend with the fam. Nothing beats quality time with the people who matter most. Sor family time? Sor blessed Hamptons." I stared at the screen, my coffee growing cold in my hands. There was my mom, laughing at something my Uncle Robert was saying. There was my dad, looking more relaxed than I'd seen him in months. My grandparents were there too, Grandma Rose wearing that pearl necklace she only brought out for special occasions. Even my weird cousin Timothy from Portland had made it, and he never came to anything. I scrolled through the other photos Jessica had posted. There was one of them all toasting with what looked like expensive champagne, another of them walking along a pristine beach, and one where they were all dressed up for what appeared to be a fancy dinner at some upscale restaurant. The timestamp showed they'd been there for 3 days already. 3 days. They'd been having this amazing family reunion for 3 days, and I had no idea it was even happening. My hands were shaking as I opened my text messages. Nothing. I checked my email. Nothing. I even looked through my voicemails from the past week thinking maybe I'd somehow missed a call. But there was nothing. Not a single mention of any family trip, any gathering, any plan that involved everyone except me. I called my mom immediately, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. The phone rang 4 times before she picked up. "Nick, honey, what's up? You sound upset." "Mom, I just saw Jessica's Instagram. You're all in the Hamptons? When did this happen? Why didn't anyone tell me?" There was a pause. One of those long, uncomfortable pauses that tells you everything you need to know before a single word is spoken. "Oh, sweetie, I meant to call you about that. It was really last minute. Aunt Margaret organized the whole thing, and you know how she is with planning. She just sort of, well, she put it together quickly and, Mom, you've been there for 3 days. That's not last minute." Another pause. I could hear voices in the background, the sound of waves, someone laughing. It sounded like paradise, and I wasn't invited. "Nick, listen, it's complicated. Margaret had very specific ideas about this trip. She wanted it to be a certain way, and she thought it might not be your scene." "What do you mean, not my scene? It's a family trip, Mom. How is family not my scene? You know how Margaret is about these things. She booked this really upscale place, and there were certain expectations about dress codes and activities, and she just thought you might not be comfortable with all that." I felt something cold and hard settling in my chest. "So instead of asking me if I'd be comfortable, you all just decided I wouldn't fit in and didn't invite me." "It's not like that, Nick. We love you. You know that. It's just that Margaret was paying for everything, and she had her vision of how she wanted it to go." I can't believe this. I was pacing now, my bare feet cold against the hardwood floor of my apartment. "I can't believe you all just decided I'm not good enough for your fancy family trip. That's not what happened, sweetheart. Don't be so dramatic." Dramatic. The word hit me like a slap. I looked around my studio apartment, at my easel covered in paint splatters, at the thrift store furniture I'd tried to make look bohemian and artistic, at the pile of bills on my kitchen counter that I'd been avoiding. Maybe I was being dramatic. Maybe I really wouldn't have fit in with their champagne toasts and designer clothes. "I have to go, Mom." "Nick, don't hang up like this. We can talk about it when I get back." But I'd already ended the call. I sat down heavily on my couch, which was really just a futon I'd bought off Craigslist, and stared at my phone. I went back to Jessica's Instagram and looked at the photos again, studying each face, trying to understand how they could all look so happy while I sat here feeling like I'd been erased from the family entirely. The worst part was that they looked genuinely happy. Not like they were missing something or someone. They looked complete without me, like I'd never been part of the equation to begin with. I spent the next hour going through everyone's social media, torturing myself with more photos and videos from their perfect family getaway. Uncle Robert had posted a video of them all playing some kind of lawn game, everyone dressed in crisp white clothes that probably cost more than my monthly rent. My dad was laughing in the background, and for a moment I felt a pang of betrayal so sharp it actually hurt. He'd always been the one who understood me, who supported my decision to pursue art even when everyone else in the family thought it was impractical. And there he was, having the time of his life at a party I wasn't invited to. My roommate Maya came home from her shift at the hospital just as I was diving into my 4th round of social media stalking. She took one look at me and immediately knew something was wrong. "What happened? You look like someone died." I handed her my phone, showing her Jessica's post. Maya scrolled through the photos, her expression growing more concerned with each swipe. "Wait, is this your entire family? And you didn't know about this?" I nodded, not trusting my voice to stay steady. "Oh, Nick, I'm so sorry. That's really messed up." And that's when I finally started to cry. Maya sat next to me on the futon, her scrubs still smelling faintly of hospital disinfectant, and handed me a box of tissues. She didn't say anything at first, just let me cry it out while she rubbed my back in small, comforting circles. That's the thing about Maya. She always knew when to talk and when to just be present. "I feel so stupid," I finally managed to say between sobs. "I keep thinking there has to be some explanation, some reason why they forgot to invite me that doesn't involve them actively deciding I'm not good enough." "You're not stupid, Nick. You're hurt. There's a difference." Maya pulled her long black hair back into a messy bun, a habit she had when she was thinking. "Tell me exactly what your mom said." I recounted the conversation, and Maya listened without interrupting, occasionally nodding or making small sounds of understanding. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. "So your Aunt Margaret organized this whole thing and specifically decided you wouldn't fit in?" "That's what it sounds like. Mom kept saying it was Margaret's vision and that she thought I might not be comfortable with all the upscale stuff." Maya shook her head. "That's not how family works, Nick. You don't get to decide who's comfortable with what without asking them first. And even if you weren't comfortable, a real family would find a way to include you anyway." I wanted to defend them, to find some excuse for their behavior, but I couldn't think of any. Maybe I really wouldn't have fit in. I mean, look at this place. I gestured around our small apartment with its mismatched furniture and my art supplies scattered everywhere. "I'm not exactly Hampton's material." "Stop it." Maya's voice was firm but gentle. "You're talking about yourself like you're some kind of charity case. You're a talented artist who chose to pursue your passion instead of some soul-crushing corporate job. That doesn't make you less valuable than people who can afford fancy vacations." I knew she was right intellectually, but emotionally I felt like I was drowning. I just don't understand how they could all be there together, having this amazing time, and not even think about me. Like, did anyone even ask where I was? Did you try calling anyone else? Maybe someone was planning to reach out and just hadn't gotten around to it yet? I grabbed my phone and scrolled through my contacts. I could try calling Jessica, but she's the one who posted the photos. She obviously knew I wasn't there. I paused at my cousin David's name. He was closer to my age and had always been pretty cool at family gatherings. "Maybe David? Call him." My hands were shaking again as I dialed David's number. He answered on the second ring and I could hear music and laughter in the background. "Nick, hey, what's up?" "Hi, David, I saw Jessica's Instagram posts. You guys are all in the Hamptons?" "Yeah, it's been amazing. Aunt Margaret really outdid herself with this place. The view from the deck is incredible, and last night we went to this restaurant that had a 2-month waiting list. But Margaret knew someone who—" "David," I interrupted. "Why wasn't I invited?" The background noise seemed to fade, and I could almost hear him processing the question. Oh shit, Nick. I just assumed you knew and couldn't make it or something. I had no idea this was happening. I found out from Instagram. That's really messed up. I'm sorry, I thought everyone was coming. When Margaret was organizing it, she just sent out the details to everyone and said to clear our schedules. Everyone except me, apparently. Nick, I'm really sorry. I should have called you myself. I don't know what I figured. This is awkward as hell. I could hear someone calling his name in the background, and he sounded distracted. Look, I'm going to talk to people about this, okay? This isn't right. Don't make a big deal out of it, David. I don't want to ruin everyone's vacation. You're not ruining anything. They did this, not you. After I hung up, Maya and I sat in silence for a while. The apartment felt smaller somehow, like the walls were closing in. I kept refreshing Instagram, watching new photos and videos pop up from my family's perfect vacation. My Uncle Robert had posted a video of them all singing happy birthday to my cousin Emma. I'd completely forgotten it was her birthday. I'm such a terrible family member, I said quietly. I didn't even remember Emma's birthday. When's your birthday? Maya asked. March 15th. Did any of them call you on your birthday this year? I thought about it. My parents had called, of course, and sent a card, but no one else had even acknowledged it. No, they didn't. Then you're not the terrible family member here. I spent the rest of the afternoon alternating between anger and self-doubt. One minute I was furious that they'd excluded me so casually, and the next I was wondering if maybe I really was the problem. Maybe I was too sensitive, too different, too much of a burden for their polished family image. Around 6 o'clock, Maya suggested we go get dinner to get me out of the apartment and away from my phone. We walked to our favorite taco place, a hole-in-the-wall joint that served the best carnitas in the neighborhood. The owner, Carlos, always remembered our orders and asked about our days. "You look sad tonight, mija," he said to me as he prepared our food. "Everything okay?" "Family stuff," I said, trying to smile. "Ah, family. They can break your heart faster than anyone else, but they're also the only ones who can put it back together." He handed me our bag of food. "Whatever happened, don't let them make you feel small. You're a good person, I can tell." Maya and I ate our tacos in the small park across the street, watching the evening joggers and dog walkers go by. The normalcy of it all felt soothing after the emotional chaos of the day. "I keep thinking about what my mom said," I told Maya, about how Margaret had very specific ideas about the trip and thought I might not be comfortable. What if she's right? What if I really wouldn't have fit in? Even if that were true, which I don't think it is, that's not how you handle family. You don't just exclude someone because they might be uncomfortable. You ask them. You give them the choice. But what if I had said no? What if I'd looked at their fancy plans and said I couldn't afford it or didn't want to do it? Then that would have been your choice to make. But they took that choice away from you. I thought about the photos again, about how happy everyone looked, how complete the family seemed without me. Maybe I'm better off not being there. Maybe I would have just brought down the mood or made things awkward. Maya stopped eating and looked at me seriously. "Nick, listen to me. You're not some kind of social disaster. You're funny and smart and kind. If your family can't see that, if they think you're somehow not good enough for their precious vacation, then they're the ones missing out. But they're my family. They're supposed to love me no matter what. Real love doesn't come with conditions about dress codes and social status. Real love makes room for everyone, even when it's messy or inconvenient." As we walked home, I felt a mixture of sadness and determination building in my chest. I was tired of feeling like I had to prove myself worthy of my family's love. I was tired of wondering if I was good enough for them, but I also wasn't ready to give up on them completely. "I think I need to talk to Aunt Margaret," I said as we climbed the stairs to our apartment. Maya looked concerned. "Are you sure that's a good idea? You're pretty raw right now. I need to understand why she did this. I need to hear it from her directly. Just promise me you'll think about it overnight before you do anything. Big conversations shouldn't happen when you're this emotional." I agreed, but I was already composing what I wanted to say to Margaret in my head. I needed answers, and I needed them soon. I didn't sleep well that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those Instagram photos. My family's perfectly curated happiness without me in the frame. By morning, I'd made up my mind. I was going to call Aunt Margaret. Maya had already left for her early shift at the hospital, but she'd left me a note on the kitchen counter. "Remember, you deserve better than this. Don't let them convince you otherwise. Love you." I folded the note and put it in my pocket like a talisman. I spent the morning pacing around the apartment, rehearsing what I wanted to say. I didn't want to sound accusatory or dramatic, but I also wasn't going to pretend this didn't hurt. I deserved an explanation, and I deserved it delivered with some semblance of respect. Around noon, I finally worked up the courage to dial Margaret's number. She answered on the third ring, her voice bright and cheerful. "Nick, what a surprise. How are you, dear?" The casual warmth in her voice almost threw me off. This was the same woman who had deliberately excluded me from a family gathering, and she was talking to me like we'd just run into each other at the grocery store. "I'm calling about the Hamptons trip," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I saw the photos on Instagram." There was a brief pause. "Oh yes, it's been wonderful. The weather has been perfect, and the house is absolutely stunning. You would have loved the view from the master bedroom balcony." "Margaret, I wasn't invited." Another pause, longer this time. "Nick, sweetheart, I know you're probably feeling left out, but this trip was planned with a very specific vision in mind. I wanted to create a particular kind of experience for the family." "What kind of experience doesn't include me?" "It's not that it doesn't include you per se. It's just that I thought you might not enjoy some of the activities we had planned, the dress code for the restaurants, the social events, the general atmosphere. I was worried you might feel out of place." I felt that familiar knot forming in my stomach. "So instead of asking me how I felt about it, you just decided for me?" "I was trying to spare you from feeling uncomfortable. Some of the places we've been require a certain level of presentation, and I know you're more of a free spirit type, which is wonderful, but it just wouldn't have been the right fit for this particular trip." "Margaret, do you hear yourself right now? You're talking about me like I'm some kind of charity case who can't figure out how to dress appropriately for a nice restaurant. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that I know you and I know your lifestyle, and I thought you'd be happier doing your own thing rather than being dragged to stuffy dinner parties and country club events. I was walking in circles around my apartment now, my free hand clenched into a fist. My lifestyle? What exactly do you think my lifestyle is? Nick, please don't take this the wrong way. I think it's admirable that you're pursuing your art and living authentically. I really do. But this trip was about, well, it was about celebrating the family's achievements and milestones in a certain way. And I don't fit into that celebration? It's not that you don't fit, it's that I thought you might not want to fit. I thought you might find the whole thing pretentious or boring. I stopped pacing and stared at my reflection in the bathroom mirror. My hair was a mess, I was wearing a paint-stained t-shirt, and I looked exactly like the kind of person who might not fit into a fancy Hamptons vacation. But that didn't make it okay. Margaret, I'm 25 years old. I can make my own decisions about what I want to do and where I want to go. Even if I had decided not to come, I deserve to be asked. You're right, she said. And for a moment I thought she was actually going to apologize. I should have called you. I suppose I was so focused on creating the perfect experience that I didn't think about how it might feel to be left out. It feels awful, I said quietly. It feels like you all decided I'm not good enough to be part of the family. Oh, Nick, that's not true at all. You're absolutely part of this family. This was just one trip. One specific kind of trip that I thought wouldn't appeal to you. But it wasn't just one trip, was it? It was a family reunion. It was celebrating Emma's birthday and spending time with Grandma and Grandpa. It was all the things that make a family feel like a family, and I was excluded from all of it. Margaret's voice took on a slightly defensive tone. I'm sorry you feel that way, but I can't change what's already happened. We're here, we're having a lovely time, and I hope you can find it in your heart to understand that my intentions were good. Your intentions were good. I couldn't keep the incredulity out of my voice. Margaret, you excluded me from a family gathering and told everyone I wouldn't fit in. How is that good intentions? I never said you wouldn't fit in. I said I thought you might not enjoy it. Is there a difference? Of course there's a difference. Not enjoying something and not fitting in are completely different things. I felt like I was arguing with a wall. Okay, let me ask you this. Did anyone ask where I was? Did anyone notice I wasn't there? There was a long pause. Well, David mentioned you yesterday, and your parents have been a bit quiet about the whole thing. A bit quiet? Look, Nick, I think you're making this into a bigger deal than it needs to be. We're all adults here, and sometimes adult life means making practical decisions about guest lists and logistics. Guest lists? I'm not a guest, Margaret, I'm family. Of course you're family, but family doesn't mean everyone gets invited to everything. Sometimes there are space constraints, or budget considerations, or simply different types of events that appeal to different people. I sat down heavily on my couch, suddenly exhausted. You really don't see what's wrong with this, do you? I see that you're hurt, and I'm sorry about that. But I'm not sorry for creating a beautiful experience for the family members who were able to appreciate it. The way she said family members who were able to appreciate it hit me like a physical blow. It was clear that in her mind, I wasn't one of those people. I have to go, I said. Nick, please don't hang up angry. I hope when you have some time to think about this, you'll understand that I was trying to do what was best for everyone. What was best for everyone except me. That's not fair. You know what's not fair, Margaret? Finding out about a family trip from Instagram. Having your own aunt tell you that you wouldn't fit in with your own family. That's what's not fair. I hung up before she could respond, my hands shaking with anger and adrenaline. I immediately called Maya, even though I knew she was probably with Patience. I can't talk long, she said when she picked up. But I'm guessing from your tone that the conversation didn't go well? She basically told me I'm too much of a free spirit to appreciate their fancy lifestyle. She said she was sparing me from feeling uncomfortable. Oh, Nick, I'm so sorry. The worst part is that she genuinely thinks she did nothing wrong. She thinks she was being considerate by excluding me. That's not consideration, that's condescension. I feel like I'm going crazy. Am I overreacting? Is this really as bad as it feels? No, you're not overreacting. What she did was cruel, and the fact that she can't see that makes it even worse. After we hung up, I sat in my apartment feeling more alone than I had in years. My family was hundreds of miles away, having the time of their lives without me, and the person who'd orchestrated my exclusion thought she'd done me a favor. I looked at my easel, at the painting I'd been working on about isolation in a crowded city. Suddenly, I understood exactly what I'd been trying to capture. I spent the next 2 days in a fog of hurt and confusion. Maya kept checking on me between her shifts, bringing me takeout and sitting with me while I alternated between angry ranting and defeated silence. I couldn't focus on my art, couldn't focus on anything really. Every time I tried to paint, I just saw Margaret's face, heard her voice explaining why I wasn't good enough for their precious family vacation. On Thursday afternoon, Maya practically forced me out of the apartment. "You need fresh air and sunlight," she said, handing me my jacket. "Go to the art district, walk around, maybe visit some galleries. Do something that reminds you who you are outside of this family drama." I didn't want to go, but I also didn't want to spend another day wallowing on my couch. So I took the L to the River North area, where most of the city's art galleries were clustered. I wandered aimlessly for a while, looking at paintings and sculptures without really seeing them, until I found myself in front of a small gallery I'd never noticed before. The sign read, "Meridian Contemporary," and through the window I could see bold, colorful paintings that looked nothing like the stuffy traditional art my family probably preferred. I went inside, grateful for the quiet and the chance to lose myself in someone else's creativity. "Can I help you find anything specific?" asked a voice behind me. I turned to see a woman in her 50s with silver-streaked hair and paint-stained fingers. She was wearing a flowing purple dress and about 6 different necklaces, and she looked like the kind of person my Aunt Margaret would definitely think didn't fit in anywhere respectable. "I'm just browsing," I said. "These are beautiful." "Thank you. I'm Elena Vasquez, the owner. Most of these pieces are from local artists." She gestured to the painting I was studying, an abstract piece that seemed to capture the feeling of being overwhelmed by city life. "This one's by Marcus Chen. He's been showing with us for about 3 years now. It's incredible. It makes me feel something, like I'm not alone in feeling lost sometimes." Elena smiled. "That's exactly what good art should do. Are you an artist yourself?" "I'm trying to be. I paint, but I'm not sure I'm any good at it." "What do you paint?" "Abstract stuff, mostly. Emotions and feelings and, I don't know, it's hard to explain. The best art usually is. Would you like to see more work that might resonate with you?" Elena led me deeper into the gallery, showing me pieces that explored themes of isolation, family dynamics, and finding your place in the world. It was like she could see right into my current emotional state and was curating a personal exhibition just for me. "This one always gets to me," she said, stopping in front of a painting that showed a figure sitting alone at a large empty dining table. The artist painted it after a falling out with her family. She said she wanted to capture the feeling of being hungry for connection, but having no one to share the meal with. I stared at the painting, my throat tight. That's exactly how I feel right now. Family troubles? I found myself telling Elena the whole story. The Instagram discovery, the conversation with my mom, the horrible phone call with Margaret. She listened without interrupting, occasionally nodding or making small sounds of understanding. "Your aunt sounds like someone who's never had to question her place in the world," Elena said when I finished. "People like that often can't understand what it's like to feel excluded or judged." Maybe she's right, though. Maybe I really wouldn't have fit in with their fancy vacation. Let me ask you something. If you had been invited, would you have wanted to go? I thought about it. I would have wanted to be with my family. I would have figured out the rest. Then that's all that matters. Family isn't about whether you can afford the right clothes or know which fork to use. It's about love and acceptance and making space for each other. That's what my roommate keeps telling me. Your roommate sounds wise. How long have you been friends? About 2 years. We met when I first moved to Chicago and needed a place to live. She's been more like family to me than my actual family sometimes. Elena smiled. The family we choose can be just as important as the one we're born into. Sometimes more so. I spent another hour in the gallery, talking with Elena about art and life and the courage it takes to pursue creativity in a world that often doesn't value it. She showed me how some of the artists she represented had overcome rejection and criticism to find their voices. "I'd love to see your work sometime," she said as I was getting ready to leave. "If you're ever interested in feedback or just want to talk about art, I'm here most afternoons." "You'd really want to see my paintings?" I wouldn't offer if I didn't mean it. I've been in this business for 20 years, and I can usually tell when someone has something real to say. You have something real to say. Walking back to the train, I felt lighter than I had in days. Meeting Elena had reminded me that there were people in the world who valued authenticity over appearances, who cared more about emotional truth than social status. Maybe my family couldn't see my worth, but that didn't mean I was worthless. When I got home, Maya was in the kitchen making dinner. She took one look at my face and smiled. "You look better." "What happened?" I told her about Elena and the gallery, about the conversation that had helped me start to see my situation differently. She said something that really stuck with me. She said the family we choose can be just as important as the one we're born into. She's absolutely right. Look at us. We're not related, but we take care of each other. We support each other's dreams. We show up for each other. That's what family should be. I keep thinking about what Margaret said about how I'm a free spirit and wouldn't appreciate their lifestyle. Like being creative and caring about art makes me some kind of lesser person. You want to know what I think? I think Margaret is threatened by you. Threatened? By me? Think about it. You're young, you're talented, you're pursuing something meaningful instead of just chasing money or status. You represent everything she probably wishes she had the courage to be. I never thought about it that way. People who are secure in themselves don't exclude others. They include them. They celebrate differences. The fact that Margaret felt the need to keep you away from the family suggests she's the one who's uncomfortable, not you. That night, I sat in front of my easel for the first time in days. Instead of trying to paint my feelings about the family situation, I found myself painting Elena's gallery. The warm light, the colorful paintings, the feeling of being understood and accepted. As I worked, I realized that this was what I'd been missing in my life. A community of people who valued what I valued, who saw my sensitivity as a strength rather than a weakness. I was still hurt by my family's exclusion, but I was starting to understand that their inability to see my worth said more about them than it did about me. I had Maya, I had my art, and now I had Elena, and the possibility of connecting with other artists who understood what it meant to pour your heart into your work. Maybe I didn't need my family's approval to know I was valuable. Maybe I just needed to trust that the people who really mattered would see me for who I was and love me anyway. By the time I finished the painting, it was almost midnight. I stepped back to look at it, and for the first time in days, I felt proud of something I'd created. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. It was me. And maybe that was enough. 2 weeks later, my family returned from their Hamptons vacation. I know this because Jessica posted a sad-to-leave paradise photo at the airport, complete with everyone looking tanned and relaxed. I looked at the photo once, felt the familiar pang of exclusion, and then closed Instagram. I was done torturing myself with their perfect family moments. My mom called me that evening, her voice overly bright in the way it got when she was trying to smooth over something uncomfortable. "Nick, honey, how have you been? I've been thinking about you." "I've been fine, Mom. How was your trip?" "Oh, it was lovely, really beautiful, but I kept thinking about our conversation, and I feel terrible about how things happened." I waited for her to continue, not making it easy for her. "I talked to your father about it, and we both agree that we should have handled things differently. We should have called you ourselves regardless of what Margaret wanted. Yes, you should have. I know you're angry, and you have every right to be. I was hoping maybe we could have lunch this weekend and talk about it properly. A few weeks ago, I would have jumped at the chance to work things out with my parents. But now, after talking with Elena and spending time in the gallery, after painting and thinking and slowly rebuilding my sense of self-worth, I wasn't sure I was ready to dive back into family drama. I'm pretty busy this weekend, Mom. I'm actually showing some of my work to a gallery owner." "Oh, that's wonderful. I'm so proud of you for pursuing your art." The words felt hollow somehow. She was proud of me for pursuing my art, but not proud enough to fight for my inclusion in family events. "Maybe we can talk next week," I said. After we hung up, Maya found me in the kitchen, staring into the open refrigerator without actually looking for anything. "Your mom?" she asked. "She wants to have lunch and talk about what happened. How do you feel about that?" Confused. Part of me wants to hear what she has to say, but part of me is tired of having to justify my existence to people who are supposed to love me unconditionally. "You don't have to decide right now. Take some time to think about what you actually want from that conversation." The next day, I went back to Elena's gallery with a small portfolio of my recent work. My hands were shaking as I walked through the door, but Elena greeted me with the same warm smile as before. "Nick, I was hoping you'd come back. Did you bring some pieces to show me?" I nodded, suddenly feeling like a fraud. What if she looked at my work and realized I wasn't actually talented? What if I'd misread her encouragement? Elena led me to a small office in the back of the gallery, where natural light streamed through a large window. I carefully pulled out 5 paintings, including the one I'd done of her gallery, and arranged them on the table. Elena studied each piece carefully, sometimes stepping back to see them from different angles, sometimes leaning in close to examine the brushwork. The silence stretched on, and I felt my anxiety building with each passing second. "These are remarkable," she finally said, and I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. "The emotion in this work is palpable. You're not just painting what you see, you're painting what you feel." "Really? Really? This one especially," she pointed to the gallery painting, "captures something beautiful about finding sanctuary in art. And this one," she moved to a piece I'd painted after my conversation with Margaret. "This one shows such raw honesty about rejection and belonging. It's powerful work, Nick. I wasn't sure if they were any good, I mean, I know how I feel when I paint them, but I didn't know if that would translate to other people. The best art always comes from a place of truth. Technical skill can be learned, but you can't teach someone to feel deeply or to translate those feelings into visual form. You have a gift. Elena and I talked for another hour about art, about the local scene, about the challenges of being a creative person in a world that often undervalued creativity. When she asked if I'd be interested in participating in a group show she was organizing for emerging artists, I almost couldn't believe it. You want to include my work in a real exhibition? I want to include your work because it deserves to be seen. Art isn't just about hanging on walls in fancy houses. It's about connecting with people, making them feel less alone in their experiences. Your work does that. I walked home from the gallery feeling like I was floating. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I had something to look forward to, something that was mine and had nothing to do with my family's approval or disapproval. That evening, I called my mom back. "I've been thinking about what you said," I told her, "about having lunch and talking." "Oh good, I'm so glad. When would work for you?" "Actually, Mom, I don't think I'm ready for that conversation yet." There was a pause. "Oh, okay. Can I ask why?" "Because I'm tired of being the one who has to make everyone else comfortable with their choices. I'm tired of explaining why it hurt to be excluded, or why I deserve to be treated like a valued family member." "Nick, we do value you. If you valued me, you would have called me about the trip. You would have stood up to Margaret when she decided I wouldn't fit in. You would have asked what I wanted instead of assuming you knew what was best for me." My mom was quiet for a long moment. "You're right. We failed you, and I'm sorry." "I know you're sorry, Mom, but sorry doesn't undo the fact that you all spent a week together without me and didn't think twice about it until I called you crying. What can we do to make this right?" "I don't know if you can. I think I need some space to figure out who I am outside of this family dynamic." "That sounds like you're cutting us off." "I'm not cutting you off. I'm just choosing to focus my energy on relationships that make me feel valued and supported. Like your roommate? Like my roommate. And like the new friends I'm making in the art community. People who see my sensitivity as a strength, not a weakness." After I hung up, I felt a mixture of sadness and relief. Setting boundaries with my family was painful, but it also felt necessary. I couldn't keep waiting for them to change, to suddenly start seeing me the way I wanted to be seen. Maya came home an hour later to find me cooking dinner. Actually cooking, not just heating up takeout. "This smells amazing. What's the occasion?" "I got into an art show," I said, unable to keep the pride out of my voice. "Elena wants to include 5 of my paintings in a group exhibition next month." Maya shrieked and grabbed me in a hug. "Nick, that's incredible. I'm so proud of you." "And I talked to my mom. I told her I need some space." "How do you feel about that?" "Sad, but also kind of free. Like I don't have to keep trying to prove myself to people who've already decided I'm not enough." "You've never been not enough, Nick. You've just been enough for the wrong people." That night, I started a new painting. This one wasn't about isolation or rejection. It was about finding your tribe, about the moment when you realize that the people who truly matter will love you exactly as you are. I painted Maya bringing me coffee while I worked at my easel. I painted Elena looking at my work with genuine appreciation. I painted myself, not as someone who didn't fit in, but as someone who belonged exactly where she was. As I worked, I thought about the Hamptons trip and realized that I wasn't angry anymore. I was grateful. Being excluded from that vacation had hurt terribly, but it had also forced me to look outside my family for validation and acceptance. It had led me to Elena's gallery, to the art show, to a deeper understanding of what I wanted from the people in my life. My family might never understand me or value what I brought to the table, but I was finally starting to understand and value myself, and that made all the difference. I didn't need to fit into their world. I was busy creating my own.